And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could be with us again. Have another great guest that's joining us for today's broadcast. We're going to be speaking again to Dr. Teresa A. Smith. You guys know her here on Instagram as Dr. Teresa Smith. I know her as Dr. TAS. We're going to talk to her not only about the year she's already having, but also what it's been like for her to show how you can be stronger and still have the need to do something that all of us have to do, and that is to go through the daily transformation. If you guys do not have Taz's books, we will let you guys know how to be able to get those. Top Production, going to be able to see you. Hello to you. Chosen Pen Publishing, going to be able to see you as well. Manswell, hello to you. Going to be able to see you. Jonathan, hello to you. How you doing? Tina, going to be able to see you over here as well. I appreciate you joining us on Amazon Live as well. Tina, I appreciate that. So as I mentioned, Dr. Taz is going to be our guest for our broadcast today. If you guys have any questions for her, feel free to be able to put those in the chat. Carolyn, hello to you. Good to be able to see you as well. Appreciate you being on with us too. Let's see. And do we see Dr. Taz yet? Go ahead and send her. Let's see. Oh, same here, Tina. I appreciate that. So again, I'm going to be talking to Taz not only about what it's been like for her to start with her book, Stronger. That was her introduction for all of us. But now, of course, be able to show us the importance of transformation and how all of us can be able to do it daily. There is Taz. I'm going to go ahead and bring her down. There she is. Taz, how's it going?
It's going great, Cyrus. How are you doing?
Is doing amazing. Good to be able to see you once again. Looking forward to our chat for today for sure. As I was just mentioning, people who have been following you, especially on IG Ties, have gotten to see you doing a lot of things. I want to talk about this year so far. We're already halfway through February. And this is a leap year, so we have an extra day too. But
Oh,
talk to us
you.
about
I
this
need
year
that
for you
year.
so
I
far,
need that
Ties. What has it
extra
been like?
day. Well, thank you, Cyrus, for reminding me it's a leap year. I need that extra day. I'm working on a deadline, but
Yeah.
it's been so exciting. And I was listening to someone earlier, and they were talking about basically we're almost through the first quarter of the year. And, I have to say, for my goals, I'm right on target. I could always be further along, but I'm right on target. And you mentioned, of course, me being on Instagram. And so this year I started a new show, Real Talk with Taz and Anjaya. And on Taz Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time here on IG. And it's going so well. I can't believe that I don't even know how many episodes we've done, but we started January the 9th, and it's like we're almost into our second full month, guys. And so it's like, how on earth did things happen so quickly? But I'm enjoying the ride for 2024.
Love that. Well, you have a lot going on, and we're able to see different aspects of your personality in different ways. I mentioned, of course, the book Stronger. That was the book that kind of kicked it off. But people have seen you reading from this book, Transformation. Then, of course, you have Transformation the Bounce Back. But they also have seen you, Taz, sharing some
Yes.
healthy recipes with your cookbook. So I want to talk about Taz, the personality, for a second, because I think it's so interesting for all of us who are on social media the way that you and I are, and the way a lot of our viewers are right now that are content creators. What has it been like for you to embrace that and to be now producing your own shows on social media?
Cyrus, what did they say? You do it if you have to do it scared. T.D. Jakes preached years ago about how you're stumbling into the place, but nothing just really happens. And for me, if you had told me 3 years ago, I'll say 5 years ago, that I would be creating my own content. My Transform with Todd show, it's produced. I have someone that works with me with that. But with the show that we're doing on IG, it is not. I'm producing it as we're going through it. It's not scripted. And to realize that I've grown to the place where I feel comfortable actually putting myself out there. I think that, as you know, and I tell folks all the time, I'm still going through every step of transformation. Yes, I still am. because everything that happens in life, you have to get accustomed to it. So everything is a transformation.
Yeah,
And so for me, getting over, I shouldn't tell it, but I remember when I was scared to even press the button.
I get it.
I was just afraid. And now it's like I press the button and I just go with it.
Mhm.
And it flows, but that's that comfortability and understanding. What I want folks to get is it takes time. It doesn't happen
Yeah.
overnight.
I love that. Mansell said it's fun. You know, you bring up a really interesting point. I also am an introvert. Hey, Antoine, good to be able to see you. So social media, what took me some getting used to, I still have those nerves like a lot of people do when I do it. But there are some people who are natural. I mean, they really, you put a camera on them, they're able to go. But you said something that's important, Taj, because you talked about the audience. Because what I'm so proud of when it comes to you, and I think this even goes to 2023 for me when it came to watching you. When I saw you hosting shows with multiple guests, I said, "Oh, look at Taz. Taz has graduated. Not she don't have one guest. She got three guests up here." I mean, what was that like for you? You interviewed some of the cast of the play The Brownies.
Yes.
I mean, could you believe yourself what you were able to do even in 2023?
No, Cyrus. I was coming off of being out of work for 4 months, guys, and I'm just going back to work in March. And I see Felicia Brookins has said, "Oh, she's looking for somebody to host these interviews for." And I know Felicia. And so, I've interviewed her
Mm-hmm.
one on one offline. And so I reached out to her and she's like, "Oh, okay, Teresa." And I'm like, "All righty." Now, guys, I got to tell you, I had to get a crash course on how to even go live on IG and bring somebody in because I'd never done it before. And so we set everything up. And, Cyrus, I never think about that. I don't think about what's occurred. But, Cyrus, I don't know how I did it. I got very accustomed to doing it. It was like, and I had to schedule the shows, guys, because I don't schedule my show on Tuesday night. I scheduled, and it was like, oh my God. And then her play premiered in December of 2023. And so I brought them back on. I'm like, well, I still sort of remember how to do it. And so thank you, Cyrus. It is a proud moment. It's like having
Yeah.
a baby that has graduated. It's a proud moment for me because I really didn't know what I was doing. But you're right. I
Mm-hmm.
graduated. And so that comfortability is there now. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, and that's what I want people to know, and that's why I'm so excited for us to have this conversation. All of our conversations are always so different, Taj. But what I want people to get from this is, for one, what you heard Taj says: doing it afraid. You don't have to have it all figured out. None of us have it all figured out, especially when you're dealing with social media and the internet. You never know what's going to happen. You
Oh, I
never know
know.
what's going to happen.
Yes.
So, but Taj, you didn't let that
Mhm.
stop you. So I want to ask you about that in relation to what you've written about.
Okay.
Because I don't know, and you have to tell us, if the Taj before writing Stronger would have been able to do it or would have done
No,
it. Hmm.
no, no. And I say that, and I don't have to think about it because one, as I've said this before, I think I started my doctorate in 2008. So when people were coming to social media, I was working on my doctorate. And so my sister set up my Facebook account, but I don't even know when she set it up. So it was after 2012, I know that.
Okay.
And as you talk about, are you on social media? Are you using social media?
Yeah.
I was barely on social media.
Hmm.
And so I know that the TAS before couldn't have. And I think writing stronger, because again, it's a cathartic process. And in there, I have declarations because you have to, declarations, or you can say affirmations, guys. It's important that positive self talk.
Yes.
So, no, I couldn't have done it. So, it had to happen post stronger. But when I think about it, Sarah, and I'm trying to think quickly, it's still, well, did it happen post? I'm thinking in order now. Transformation, I wasn't ready. But
Hmm.
during the transform, because I'm looking at chronologically now, but during that
Yeah.
transformation time, I started to get there because again, you bear your soul when you're, whether I'm doing it live or I'm just doing my readings, you're
Correct.
still bearing your soul, whether you see me or you just hear me and I'm flipping
Right.
pages. You're bearing your soul. So no, I don't think I could have done it. No, I know I couldn't have done it pre stronger. No.
Got you. Well, I want to say for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're speaking with Dr. Teresa A. Smith. You guys know her on Instagram as Dr. Teresa Smith. I know her as Dr. TAS. We're talking with her about her journey, what it's been like for her to share. Not only has she been, interviewing cast of plays. Now she mentioned she has her show, TAS in Angelia, on Tuesday nights here on Instagram. But you've also have seen TAS in the kitchen because she's also done live cooking. So talk to us about that, TAS. What was that like for you? To not because you love cooking. What was it like for you to bring that to us live? Why are you laughing?
So I'm thinking, I'm trying to think, because I want you guys to understand you can overcome,
Yeah.
because I'm about overcoming and changing. I'm trying to think my first live cooking, my volume was not up. And then for a long time, guys, because even when I was setting this up, I'm like, well, let me make sure the volume's up. And as he was bringing me in, I'm like, let me turn that volume up, because for some reason it don't seem to be up. I didn't realize it. And I think someone was trying to get my attention, but I'm just
Yeah.
like this. So it's like I saw this and I'm trying to see the people, I'm waving, I'm talking to them, but I didn't realize they couldn't hear me. Oh my God. So I did this whole cooking segment, and I don't know if that's when I used Scott Conant's sauce. I don't know, and I love his sauce. And I made it from scratch. I don't know when it was, but what I cooked. But then it was like, oh my God. I realized after the fact that you couldn't hear me. Oh, I was in a panic. So I was like, okay, what you gonna do? I done just tripped out, guys. I was off. And so then it was like, you're gonna do it again. And so I did it again live, and I probably said that, oh, it was the technology, me, and whatever. And so I've already done this, whatever, but I'm going to talk you through what I've done.
Yeah.
Then what I got my sister and niece to do, they put together a little TikTok reel or something for me. And it talked about when your mic is, instead of being a hot mic, you got a dead mic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, okay. And that helped me to kind of get over it. Because I'm going to be honest, when you do that and you go through the whole thing and nobody can hear you and you don't know they can't hear you, and then you realize that it's like, I'm not going to do this again. No, I was like, how do I fix this? And so I think being able to laugh at myself, it helped me to, even though this is serious now, you want to put a good face forward.
Yeah.
It helped me to calm down because, I mean, mistakes are going to happen. And the funniest thing, Cyrus, that happens with me in IG, it happened when I was interviewing the last time with Felicia. The gentleman, I never saw him the whole time that I was on IG with them. I heard him. I never saw him. And so when I downloaded everything, it was like, oh, there he is. And and I don't know what's happening with IG. Maybe it's just me, but that's even happened with me and Angelia and other people and other things that I've done. It's like one person will see everybody, and then the other person they won't. But the thing is, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
Go through it as if you're seeing everyone. And I guess I get that from my mother. She would say, basically, we're Eastern Stars, and so they do a lot of marching. If you slip, fall off, step out of it and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you stop, you throw everybody off that's behind you.
Yeah.
And so but that was what it was like. I enjoyed cooking live, but that first time, Cyrus, oh my gosh, but I got over it. I didn't let it paralyze me and keep me from moving forward. And that's what I want folks to always remember. We're going to make mistakes. Life's going to happen, but keep moving forward regardless.
I remember that episode. I remember that. But let me ask. Okay, so let me do a follow-up
Okay.
question to what I asked earlier. Would you been able to do it again before Stronger?
Would I have been able to do that again?
Yeah.
Mm.
If you had gone through that whole cooking segment, you had mustered up the courage to do it, gone
No.
through all of that with no one hearing you. Before Stronger, would you been able to have gone through and say, you know what, I'm going to do this again?
Yes, but the thing about Stronger is, guys, Stronger is who I am, and bad language, Manzella, it codifies me. So by me having taken Stronger out of my mind and put it in the book, yeah, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I would have been able to do it, but now when you look back, you can understand why I would have done it again. I was going to do it again if I had to cook something else, because it was no way that I'm going to do my first live and it don't go right. I don't care. It's got to go right.
Yeah.
It has to. Yeah.
Got you. So I love the fact that with Taz and I, y'all. I mean, Taz and I, and we're like this
Yeah.
even off air. This is the way we talk to one another. Um, I'm a lot nicer than Taz is. I just want you guys to know.
Don't
I'm
pay
the
me
nicest.
attention. I'm the nicest. Tosh, you don't know this. My mother always says of her family, she's the nicest one. And she's been saying it since I was a little girl. And I'm always telling her, no, ma'am, I'm the nicest one. So, Cyrus, I'm the nicest one of us.
Well, but what I love about Taz is so good at what she does.
Oh,
But Taz, one thing that I also respect so much about you is that even with your education, even with your experience, the humility of knowing the teacher is still the student. So I
oh,
want to
yes.
ask you about that because there are some people who really feel like they have felt like or they've been told that you graduate out of this thing. What has that been like for you? Well, let me phrase the question this way. How humbling has it been for you to realize that every day is a new day? Every day is a new number one.
Mhm. You know, Cyrus, as an educator, we talk about lifelong
Mm-hmm.
learning, and it actually is lifelong learning. And I guess I want guys to realize it doesn't have to be textbook, but every day is a new day. You learn something every day. I was just doing some stuff, and I said to somebody, my account number is 8 digits. Are you sure that yours is 10? Well, we're different states. And that could be it. It could be the type of financial institution. I don't know. I don't have time to figure that out right now. But the person came back and said, it's 10. I wanted to make sure because of what I was doing, because when the money gets transferred, I want the money to go to the right place. But even something as simple as that, which isn't simple, but it is simple, I learned something different because who sits around, I'm trying to think, maybe a finance person, and thinks about, okay, is an account number this many digits across most of the United States, or is this many digits? I never thought about it, but I learned that. So now when something comes up, I know to ask questions to make sure that information is correct. Also, I'm going to educate other people about that
Yeah.
because that's something I did not know. So when we talk about lifelong learning, and for me to still be the student, even though I'm trying to teach, I think that if I wasn't still the student, I would not be able to appreciate what is occurring with people when sometimes they feel uncertain. Because I know what that's like to feel uncertain, but at the same time, because I don't like for you to be stuck someplace. You got to get up and move on.
Mm.
Because if you don't, then you don't learn and then you don't progress. So move on, you wallow, now let's keep going because you got to keep moving in order to actually reach your
Yeah.
destination. So for me, I'm always learning, and I invite people to be inquisitive your entire
Love that.
life.
Got Cayman Kelly in the building. Hey, Cayman, good to be to see you, man. If you guys have not read Cayman's book, you guys have to get Cayman's book. Cayman, appreciate you dropping in. So, Dr. Taz, we've been talking about stronger. I want to talk about transformation because what has been so interesting, you wrote transformation, then you wrote transformation to bounce back. Did you feel a sense of finality, though, with transformation? Did you, even though you kept saying in this book that change can be challenging, that it's a process, could you have imagined the process would have taken you the way that it has?
No, and I'm gonna be honest, that's only 10 lessons in transformation. There's about 80 of them. And I'll tell you a quick story. I printed everything out. I don't print everything out as much anymore. I'm learning, but I'm a book person, so I like to hold stuff in my hand. And so I had all of the messages printed out, but I didn't know what order. And I went for work somewhere, and so I used the bed and I put them all down. And then I picked them up, and this is God thing, guys. That's the reason I'm telling you this. And so I assembled them. But then I guess he had me to do it again, and I only came up with 10 messages. And I'm like, 10 messages? That's not enough. Thank God for 10 messages. Thank God. Because what I'm now learning is those 10 messages are so powerful. They really become the foundation for everything else, those other messages that I got that haven't been printed yet. Because if you don't have that footing, it's hard to do anything else. And you can become overwhelmed with changes, challenging your primary focus, running on empty. And he didn't talk to me about this, so I'm just pulling this out the top of my
Yep.
head. All of those things are so important, and we often overlook them because we don't give them a second thought. But we really have to use them as pillars for a foundation that you dug out. So for me, I'm constantly reliving those 10 things. And as I go through them, I can't help but think other people are running through them also. I'm teaching a class, and I know I shouldn't say this, and my students don't follow me, but we call it the mental models. It's a way of thinking. And those 10 things really impact how we think and how we process information. So for me, I really thought, why am I only doing 10 messages? Oh, but now I'm so glad it's only 10, Cyrus, because I can't get out that book myself. I had to make him later. No, I can't even get out the book.
Well, and what's interesting when you were ticking through the topics and you mentioned running on empty. You know what is so interesting to me, Taz, that we've never discussed? That you had that chapter after you discussed humility.
Oh.
And what I think is so when you just said it again, I thought there's a reason why that's sticking out to me. You talked about humility before you got into, because there's some of us, and I'm saying collectively, I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's anyone that's on here, but maybe it is, who feels like they can do everything. They can be everything to everyone. You had to learn the hard way that is
Yes.
not the case. So, and that's why I thought it was so interesting going to the bounce back, because the bounce back, the humility of realizing what happens
Yeah.
when you are not taking care of yourself first, right? So talk about that. What it's been like for you to share that lesson with people, Taz, about the importance of, it's great to be a go-getter. It's great to get things done, to have a list. I have a list every day, but also remembering to replenish the cup. Talk about that from your experience.
Cyrus, it's interesting. I was speaking with one of my doctors recently, and we had this conversation. And I think that it didn't just happen that I was having this conversation with him and we were talking about this, because I'm like TD Jakes with that sermon. Nothing just happens. When you see a physician, a medical doctor, having to basically take his advice or the advice that's in my book, when I gave him a copy, I'm like, it's in the book, and understand that you can't be your best self if you give everything away, no matter how much you love your patients, no matter how much work, how much you love your work beyond the patient work. You can't do that. And so for him to talk to me, and then for me to get him up to speed on what had happened to me, it was like we were two peas in a pod, but coming from two different worlds. And what that taught me, and what I want to leave folks as far as this conversation, it can happen to anybody.
Yes.
And it sneaks up on you, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't even realize that it's happened. And he realized he needed to step away. He didn't get sick like me. He realized he needed to step away and then make a decision. But he also knew he had to be away, because it's hard to make good decisions when you're still in the middle of it, because you can't think. And you say you can't think? No, you can't. I just said about the mental model. Everything that you're living is still what's running through your head. You're not ready for another download, another update as far as software.
Yeah.
So he had to remove himself intentionally. I was not removed intentionally, meaning I didn't do it. I was removed unintentionally, struggling and
Right.
fighting. Like I write in the book, my computer would connect to the one that I use for it. It would connect to everything except my job. Now, I'm telling you, that's the truth. It would not allow me to connect. But, as I said before, 21 days of not doing something, it became a habit. So I had to totally disconnect from everything, social media, everything, in order to hear what was happening to my body and then to make the adjustment. So, you talk about humility and understanding that you can't be everything to everyone all the time. And as you just said, Cyrus, it is amazing how the chapters and the topics follow, because I hadn't even made that connection about that and then the running on empty. But like I said, I wanted the book to be much larger, but he said 10. And like I said, I'm still in the 10 messages trying to live my life the best way so that I don't have to keep bouncing back, bouncing back.
Love that. Well, you have a lot going on this year, Taz. As I mentioned, we both talked about your new show here on IG, Taz and Angelia. You have that. But you also, of course, are working on other projects too. You're going to be one of our guest speakers for the upcoming Virtual Writers Conference. I'm excited about that coming
Yes.
up. What else should our audience be on the lookout for?
Well, if I do the right thing, you'll get more of my show, Transform with Taz. As I keep saying now, I'm the holdup. I am doing my own editing. And a friend of mine said to me once, just because I can do it, don't mean that I should do that. They were not talking about what I'm saying. I know.
Hmm.
They were talking about what they could do. Now, just because I can
Yeah.
do it, sometimes I gotta let somebody else do it. And I may have to let somebody else do
Yeah.
it because I just don't think I'm gonna be able to get it done. And
Gotcha.
but I will say this, and that's the biggest thing that's on the horizon. I want to put out my other book, but I also realize I'm still in transformation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's wise. And that requires guys really taking a look at the big picture.
Hmm.
But I think that the whatever happens this year, I think it's going to happen the way that it's supposed to happen. Like I said, I would love to get my the next season of Transform with Taz. What I was about to say was this: I have learned a lesson. I love it when I meet with my interviewees and we're offline. I love it, but sometimes my interviews, the footage is like an hour and a half. And I think that every component is important. And this is something we have to learn as writers too. Like I had to leave all those other messages out. So what has happened is it's been very good for me to now go back and listen to them. And I'm like, no, I don't need that. I'm deleting this. I'm deleting that. Before I was too attached to it. It's almost like what happened when I was disconnected for the 4 months. I was too attached to it. So I could not make a good decision about what I wanted my audience to hear. And so now I guess what I'm saying is now that I've come to that realization, it's okay for somebody else to do the editing of the interviews because I know now they're going to capture what's needed for this moment in time, and I can now divorce myself from it. But that's what's coming, Cyrus. The next season of Transformative Tars is coming. I want to get out a book by the end of the year, but like I said, guys, um, sometimes quantity is not what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to focus on quality.
Love that.
And as I say, I'm still living transformation of 10 messages. So there's no reason to bring something else in. I'm still some days living the bounce back size. And there's no reason to bring something else in. Go be living all these books at the same time.
Yeah.
Ooh, what is her problem?
Gotcha.
Be real.
They look But that's a good point, and it's a good reminder for all of us. And it also goes to a message that my aunt used to tell me all the time: just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I
Absolutely.
think a lot of times we forget that,
Mhm.
because we do get, hey, Dr. Velma, good to be able to see you.
Dr. Thelma.
So it's a great thing. Taz, another great conversation. The time just it flies when we're together, and it's always so much fun. But I do want to say publicly what I tell you all the time. I'm so proud of you and all the great things that you're doing. And I'm so excited about. I tell you, of course, I have Bible class on Tuesday night, so I always catch the replay of your show with your sister. And I love the way you're repurposing your content. So for our audience out there, take that lesson from Taz. She's repurposing her content, her long form content, turning it to short form content. I love the way you're doing that, and really bringing us in to those conversations for sure. Taz, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Well, the best way to stay connected to me is here on IG. I'm Dr. Teresa Smith. I have my bio, my Linktree bio there. Things are happening on social media now, guys. So if you click on it and it says scammer, I'm not a scammer. But things are happening. And so we have to take those precautions to make sure that people at least think before they move forward. But my Linktree bio, it's all real and I'm a real person. So that's the best way to stay in contact with me.
Love that. Dr. Velma, let me say too, happy anniversary. I
Yes.
mentioned it on another platform. But happy anniversary to you. And she says about you, TAS, Dr. TAS is such a phenomenal
Oh,
woman.
thank you,
We
Dr. Belma.
appreciate that. Again, TAS, always a pleasure. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
All right, and we thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to another great episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.